So how can everything and nothing be going on with Halloween Horror Nights 25 at the same time? I'm about to tell you. Sir Owen Disney here. We're going to talk about a little speculation and rumors for Halloween Horror Nights 25. It is the beginning of February, and obviously we're several months from finding out any actual concrete information, whether it's let out somehow, or we find out in other avenues. We got a long time before we find out anything for sure. But what we do know, obviously, is the dates, and we know that Jack the Clown's coming back. That's all we know as of right now. Everything else is rumor or speculation, and I'm about to talk about both in this video. Now first, before I get started, I do want to mention a post. A post that I made on the Orlando United message board, and one that I reposted on the Horror Night Nightmares forums. Reasoning why is because I wanted to get off my chest what I think about the various speculation that's been going on lately. And I'm going to read this verbatim because obviously we're going to be doing another one of these videos where I'm looking up a lot. Probably because if you're a new viewer, you need to know something that all you out there that have followed me for quite a while would understand. I have a flat screen monitor and it's above my head. So if I'm looking like this, obviously I'm reading something. Maybe someday we'll work this out. Maybe not. I think it's pretty sweet having my flat screen as my computer monitor. That being said, I'm going to mention what I said and then I'm going to explain exactly why. We're going to talk about some rumors. We're going to talk about some different things that I've been hearing lately, whispers every once in a while about things that may or may not be coming to the event this year or in the next several years. Let's talk about it and let's get started right away. I'm still not too sure about Insidious. Now, I'll tell you right now, I'm not a fan of the movie. I hated the first movie, thought it was very overrated. For me, it was kind of like Drag Me to Hell, a movie that a lot of horror movie fans flocked to, but I never quite got. I did not like the first Insidious, and I was very worried about the second one, but the second one actually blew me away, and I very much enjoyed it. The third one I have a lot of hope for, and I hope it's a lot more like the second one than the first. Now, I know a lot of you out there may be hoping the opposite, but it's anyone's guess what's actually going to come out of the movie, and we won't know for several months. I continue. Nothing about my personal feelings on the movie, which I just gave you guys. Yes, it does fit, and yes, it was in Hollywood, which of course everyone knows it's one of the most popular mazes in the history of Hollywood's event. But like people told me, incorrectly mind you, Dead End was their answer to Insidious. Well, I found out via my friend Jeremy that it was not Dead End that was Insidious. Dead End was an answer to a horror movie called The Apparition. And that was known by anybody that did the Unmasking the Horror Tour. Now, granted, I did not do an Unmasking the Horror Tour in 2012. I didn't do anything in 2012 with the exception of Penn and Teller Nuke Las Vegas twice, House of Horrors once, Bill and Ted Get Merch Bomb Out because it was raining like it was. Obviously, if you guys remember Halloween Horror Nights 22 opening night, my birthday, you probably would remember how bad the weather truly was. Like the roaming hordes couldn't go out because of the rain, and it was just miserable. I was wearing denim shorts, got completely soaked. There's a video about that if you want to hear anything more. So that's why I said I didn't think Insidious was coming. Now, I'm not exactly sure, because it could go either way. It really is a possibility it could come now, given the fact that the post-punk clue that John Murdy posted about on his Twitter feed, the @HorrorNights Twitter feed, yeah, I'm really thinking that post-punk is Insidious at this point, but we'll talk about that in a Hollywood video when I get some more concrete information about Hollywood. With the Friday the 13th reboot moved officially to 2016, I don't think we see Jason Voorhees at the event unless he's part of a combined house with Freddy Krueger, like the Freddy vs. Jason house I called in November. I don't think Friday the 13th is coming as a house, so the New Line 3, I don't think that's going to happen. I'll explain a little bit more as I progress in this. I'm probably going to talk over myself a little bit, so prepare yourself for that. But you probably know this if you're watching these videos. You probably know that I do talk over myself quite a bit. And I kind of ramble a bit, but I'm trying to get points out here. I'm trying to explain a couple things. Now, I will say right now, if there's a Freddy vs. Jason house, there's a lot of red tape that Universal's going to have to go through. Now, granted, that is 2 different movie licenses trying to get them to collaborate to do a house. Now, they were supposed to do a Freddy vs. Jason house a long time ago, but it kind of fell through. And they were also going to do Freddy and Jason showing up in each other's houses during the Carnival of Carnage, but they're like, no, New Line's not going to make that happen. So it's anyone's guess if it's going to happen. It's kind of a dream property, and with the success of Alien vs. Predator last year, I do think there may be some believability that it could come to the event, as long as they can cross the T's and dot the lowercase j's. Now, I've been calling Scream since November. You know, Scream's my favorite horror movie, straight up, 100%. It got me into horror. It's something that I still love to this day. It's iconic, and it's a slasher that's never been done as a house at Halloween Horror Nights. Now, I do know it was part of an all-night die-in, but it's never had an actual house. I think this is the chance for Scream to get an actual house, and I do think that Scream will actually end up in a tent. I think that makes perfect sense. As a matter of fact, you can reuse a lot of the Halloween, setup, and you could make it into Scream. Obviously, we can use the Prescott house that way. I mean, it would work really well. So, I will state right now that me wanting Scream at the event is one of the things that is kind of a personal thing. Obviously, I want Scream at the event, and I do think it actually will happen at the event, and I'm very happy to be able to walk through Woodsboro. I'm really happy to be chased by Ghostface. I'm really excited to be able to stand in line, and just like we heard the iconic score from Halloween last year, I really want to be in line listening to Red Right Hand. I think it would be awesome. You could do it based upon the Stab franchise. I know they did the Stabathon at the Terror Tram in Hollywood. I don't think Scream would come to Hollywood. I think it would just be something that would be just for us in Orlando. So it's anyone's guess if it'll happen, but I fingers crossed that it actually does. A lot of clues stating that Freddy's coming this year. And here's the reason why. There's a lot of different things that have happened in the previous years that allow me to believe that it's actually going to happen. Obviously, in Resident Evil, we had the Elm Street sign. Now, granted, that could have been just a coincidence, but it also could have been planting the seeds for something in the future. We saw Freddy's very iconic sweater in Halloween, and to top that off, when we did the fire that was leading to the first announcement of The Walking Dead, a lot of people jumped straight to Freddy Krueger when the Don't Sleep line came up. So, will we see Nightmare on Elm Street at Halloween Horror Nights this year? I think it's a very good possibility. If we do not get the Freddy vs. Jason house, I do think that Freddy is the only member of the New Line 3 that ends up coming to the event. The Leatherface movie, also coming in 2016, is going to be telling the story of Leatherface from a younger perspective. And it's an interesting concept, and we've done Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the event before. Obviously, we're all talking about the Carnival of Carnage here. Now, unless there is a hint, I talked about hints a minute ago, with the finale of Evil Dead, with the finale of, I look at it here, yeah, From Dusk Till Dawn last year, and the fact that Roanoke was a cannibal house. Could that be pointing us to Leatherface coming back to Halloween Horror Nights? I don't think so. I don't think this is the year. If it does happen, I could see it possibly coming in collaboration with the movie next year, if they want to go in that direction. But as much as the New Line 3 would work at the event, I don't think this is the right time. I don't think that a 25th anniversary is the right way to bring these back. Now, I could be wrong, but it's anyone's guess. American Horror Story. Dear God, everyone's talking about American Horror Story. What's going on? Is American Horror Story coming to the event? It's the wild card. Will The Walking Dead return? I mean, that's a question right now. I know a lot of people seem to think it's not going to happen, but really, you have all that money on the table, why would you just make it go away? I don't think American Horror Story is a strong enough IP to take over for The Walking Dead, which is why, I believe that they're going to have to be heavy on the IPs in order to bring in the general public if they're going to make The Walking Dead disappear. Even though we had Walking Dead overload the last several years, still, if you can do something new with it, I'm okay with that. It's anyone's guess at this point which will see the light of day. Will we see American Horror Story in the Four Seasons event, or are we going to see a return to The Walking Dead? If The Walking Dead can go bigger than the last several years, maybe a dual run house, or the zombie laser tag, like the shout out to Busch Gardens, Zombie Containment Unit 15, or, like, I know they did it at Knox Scary Farm as well, or maybe use The Walking Dead as the Extreme House, but I think American Horror Story fits the Extreme House a whole lot more, then, yeah, I mean, I can see that, I can understand, and I support its return. And that's coming from somebody that's never watched an episode of The Walking Dead, and I can assure you, after hearing that theme song so many times in 2013, I probably never will. If Fox can get all its ducks in a row, and all the laundry list of things that Ryan Murphy wants out of his property can be agreed upon, American Horror Story can be at Halloween Horror Nights this year. And it's been on the table before, but it was taken off. The question is it going to be taken off this year? Is it going to be taking over for The Walking Dead as the main horror television show IP? I don't think it's the only television horror show IP that ends up at the event this year, but we'll talk about that once I get into my other part of this video. Can they coexist together? That's the question. Would The Walking Dead and American Horror Story be able to coexist in the same year? It's anyone's guess at this point. I would say probably not, but maybe things can be worked on and maybe they can do that. Who knows? Maybe they'll coexist. We're going to have to see. I support The Purge coming. I really want The Purge to come back. I really enjoyed the Scare Zone. I'd like to see it as a house. I called it as a house a couple years ago, and it was just a Scare Zone. That's fine. No problems with that. It was way massive, even more so than most Scare Zones ever. So I'm thinking that a good idea, if they redo The Purge, would have been to maybe like scale it down a little bit and put more characters in there so there's more action going on. There were several times I walked through The Purge last year that there was nothing going on. I mean, there was just loud, period. There was loud everything, but nothing, no characters, or maybe sporadic characters, sprinkled upon the entire Scare Zone. And that's a huge plot of real estate right there to not have something going on. So yes, I'm down with The Purge coming back, but with the movie going to next year, I think that looks like more of next year. The same with The Conjuring. I do think that when The Conjuring 2 comes out next year, I think we finally see The Conjuring. Now, the only way I can see The Conjuring in 2015 is if it's a part of a very paranormal-centric all-night die-in, which I think could be a very good possibility. Or if they want to go with a Silver Screams house, that's another idea. Use a lot of the paranormal houses, a lot of things I talked about in the past. Might be a way to get The Exorcist brought to the event, but I'll talk about The Exorcist in just a little bit. There's a lot of rumors talking about Dark Christmas finally becoming a house. Obviously, if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's Hollywood's Scare Zone from last year's event. And it was very successful. It obviously brung apart the Krampus. And a lot of people want to see the Krampus. Now, granted, there's going to be a movie based upon it. I know Kevin Smith's doing another movie based upon it, so there's 2 Krampus movies in the same year. But the thing about it is, I think if we do Dark Christmas, and we do get it as a share here in Orlando and also in Hollywood, I do think that it's going to come to the event. I do see the Krampus as a part of that house if they do it that way, but it's anyone's guess if they're going to go that direction. Poltergeist. No, the trailer just came out. Looks awesome. I think that the guy that did Monster House, he is the one in charge. Gil Keenan. He's in charge of the actual movie itself, and I'm very curious to see how it works. Will we see Poltergeist at the event? I think it'd be a great paranormal house if they want to go in that direction. I don't know if it would work or not. I think it would, but I don't know necessarily if it would happen this year or not. It could go either way. Now, my friend Brian from Orlando United really wants a Hellraiser house. And do I think we see Cenobites at the event? I think it'll happen eventually. Now, granted, we already had a Hellraiser rooms in All Night Die-In, but I think that they could support a full house if they want to go into the minutia of the entire series. I think that would work pretty well. Chucky. Chucky's a question mark, too. All the Chucky merch, is that leading to Child's Play? Are we going to get Chucky at the event this year? It's possible, but maybe that was just to tie in with Dollhouse of the Damned. Given the fact that there was an original mention that Dollhouse of the Damned was the icon house of this past year when there wasn't an icon. There was supposed to be a doll icon, and it didn't happen. So, all the Chucky merch went to both coasts, and who knows? Will we see Chucky at the event? I mean, it's possible. Now, Bayou of Blood had a great scare zone concept. And obviously the sacrifice, which got literally sacrificed, pun not intended here, was something that the people that got to see it, the lucky ones that got to see it, and the even luckier ones that got video of it, because I had to miss it, unfortunately. The couple times I had a chance to see Bayou of Blood's sacrifice, I missed it by like seconds, so yeah, I don't have that video. I have a lot of friends that do. But anyway, this actually could lead into something that Halloween Horror Nights has been wanting to do for a long time. Universal has been wanting to do a voodoo house. And I'm not talking about throwing in the Coven season of American Horror Story, or, I mean, it's more witches and voodoo, but still, you have, well, actually, it's kind of a mixture of both, but don't forget, I've never watched the show, so I can't really say anything about American Horror Story at all, but we'll get into that a little bit further in the video. Not that I don't know anything about it, I'm just going to talk about a couple of things that are rumored right now. Now, the character of Mamba, the Voodoo Queen, who would walk around the scare zone, and she was awesome. She was on point at all times. Everyone liked her character, and I believe that if they give her a wicked, fleshed-out backstory, she can be the catalyst for the first ever voodoo house coming to Halloween Horror Nights. I think that Bayou of Blood becomes a house, and I think it happens this year. I think it needs to. I see a lot of houses turn to scare zones, and vice versa this year. I think it's a good possibility. I think Roanoke Cannibal Colony just jumps out as a scare zone to me. It makes perfect sense. And it'd be really fun to hear drunken people yelling, "Mate!" every 5 minutes. Or not drunken people. People like me. Hi. So, I don't know how many icons are coming back. We know Jack. And if you look at the surveys, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, the Usher, Lady Luck, and Fear were all left out. Now, the Usher I see coming back. Lady Luck wasn't really universally liked, and Fear was kind of, whatevs. Now, obviously, Bloody Mary's not mentioned, but Dr. Mary Agana could show up at the event. Now, the character of Bloody Mary is actually being leased out to a haunt outside of Cleveland, Ohio this year. And that means we're not going to get Bloody Mary at the event. We may get Dr. Mary Agana, but we won't get Bloody Mary. Now, in 2012, something happened that I did not get a chance to see as well, and that was the Lagoon Show. I think that Lagoon shows do return this year, and I do think that there is going to be a Lagoon Show that is going to be themed towards Halloween Horror Nights and Halloween Horror Nights history. Talking about the icons, talking about different houses, scare zones. I think it'd be totally awesome. I think it worked really well. A very nice fit between houses and zones, Bill and Ted, and I believe a few other shows that will possibly come to the event. I think Jack gets a house, a scare zone, and a show this year. I think we're going to be very Jack-heavy on 2015. Alfred Hitchcock. I've been wanting to see this house for a long time. Now, I never got to see Psycho because I started out in 2012. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say here. So, I never saw Psycho in any form, and I've always wanted to. I think it'd be awesome. Obviously, I've never been to Hollywood yet. So, and that trip got pushed back. Sorry about that, but things happen sometimes. I will state that I never got to see Norman Bates at the event, and I really want to. So, I want to see this house. I really do want to see this house. I think if you do it right, this could be a really big hit. Now, you take the HR Blood and Guts style, do the rooms in black and white, you have the actual Alfred Hitchcock words telling you what you're about to see. You start out the house with walking through the iconic silhouette and the actual Alfred Hitchcock's character introducing us to what we're about to see. And after we hit all the high spots, at the very end, we get one last final scare from the master, and you get ushered out of the house, grinning from ear to ear, scared out of your wits, with the wonderful Alfred Hitchcock Presents theme playing. I think it'd be awesome. Totally awesome, and I really want to see it happen. Ghostbusters? Upcharge me, don't upcharge me, don't care. Sign me up right now. I'm totally down with anything Ghostbusters coming to the event. I really wanted to see that house last year, and it didn't happen. There was a lot of speculation, and I pushed that speculation that was going to happen, given the fact that it was the anniversary. Now, I'm going to completely forgive Universal Orlando and Art and Design if we get that house this year, and I think it's a very good possibility. Obviously, I want Penn and Teller back. The Urban Legends or BS house, I really want to see that. Teller loves the event. Penn seemed like he would enjoy doing it again, so hopefully Universal works with Penn and Teller again, but that's a personal want more than anything. Give me Bill and Ted merch. I want a Bill and Ted shirt. Give me original content merch. If I can go back to last year, I totally would have rocked a Giggles and Gore shirt. Without a doubt. Give me some new vinyls. New Icon vinyls. I always talked about that. I think it's a great idea. Give me a non-Walking Dead hoodie. I really wanted a hoodie last year and I couldn't get it because it was Walking Dead. Give me a Halloween Horror Nights 25 hoodie. Like a basic hoodie with a really awesome logo on the back. I totally would buy it without a doubt. But either way, I think we're going to have a really fun year this year. Let the rumors, speculation, and the news continue. So that's what I said on the message board. Not really much was said to me on that, but let's talk about a few things, shall we? So Screamscape decided they want to get in on this. Screamscape posted their rumors. And if you don't know what Screamscape is, I'm sure if you're watching this video you probably do, but Screamscape basically by and large is a theme park news and rumors website. And it covers everything. And it's all nice and neat exactly what it's about. It covers all the theme parks. It covers everything. And it's like countrywide, worldwide. It covers everything. And it's great. Love Screamscape. This is what was said. Jack will be back to help usher in the anniversary and maybe dig up a few favorites along the way. Early rumors, there's going to be a special 25th anniversary house that will recreate some of the most famous scenes from an assortment of popular mazes from years past, which may not transfer very well and may not translate very well if you just do like 2 rooms of, okay, let's say, I gotta walk in the house, like, here's the in-between. And I was like, this is freaky. We go run into Havoc, Dogs of War. And I was like, okay, this is strange. And then Lights Out, Cold Blind Terror. And it's like, okay. It's like, hey, it's Dead End. It's like, all right. The Forsaken. Okay, this is really out there. All Night Dying. Okay. And Silver Screams. All right. I don't know if I like this very much. Hey, there's Jack for no reason. Yay, awesome. See, I mean, it could be really disjointed like that. I'm not saying that it would, I'm saying it could be. It actually could work, but it's got to be good transitions, honestly. I wouldn't mind seeing a High Spots house. High Spots of the icons I do think could happen. But High Spots of the different mazes throughout the years, I don't know, maybe, it's possible. Hearing The Walking Dead may take a break, but the spin-off series that we're hearing about may come back for next year. I don't know. There's some rumors Walking Dead won't come back this year. I know a lot of fans don't want The Walking Dead to come back this year. But like I said, I'm all for it if there's a reason for it to come back. If there's something new to get out of The Walking Dead. I'm not sure exactly what's left. I brought up, like I said, the dual run house, the zombie laser tag, like the extreme house if they really want to go in that direction. Just something new, something different. I don't want to just go through the prison again. Apparently, American Horror Story may have ironed out all the issues. That's a lot of issues. So there's a big ironing board right now, and American Horror Story has been trying to go after it, and it seems like it just doesn't work and doesn't work. Well, maybe this year it actually did. So maybe American Horror Story is coming to the event. I mean, is it going to be based upon Murder House, or is it going to be based on Asylum? Is it going to be based on Coven? Is it going to be based on Freak Show? It takes place in Florida. It makes perfect sense, especially for a Carnival of Carnage year. But I'm not sure if we're going to get a Carnival of Carnage year, even though I do believe that Jack and a lot of clowns are going to be very centric for this entire year. Now, rumor has it, Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, the new Line 3, Annabelle, of all things, which I don't believe that's ever going to happen, and The Purge returning. Okay. It's interesting. Alright, so Attractions Magazine has a correspondent named Fowl Owlerson, and he posts a lot of rumors. He posted this on his Twitter feed. He said, American Horror Story is coming on both coasts. We'll see. The Purge will return. Like I said, with the sequel being pushed to next year, I don't think it's going to happen. Dark Christmas will become a shared IP. Okay, fine. Well, obviously a shared IP, a shared original on both coasts. Makes sense. The Past will be including IPs. The past original content and IPs are going to make up the event this year. Now, I talked about last year there being an original icon that they didn't end up going with at the last minute. Apparently, this guy's rumors telling us that it was like a Cindy Kane type doll, and Dollhouse of the Damned was her icon house. Now, the legendary truth technology that was used during the last couple days of the event that I would have killed to go to last year, that's the reason why this year is going to happen with me coming back for the last week of the event. That technology is going to be used again. Apparently, they're going to utilize the test app that we got last year, and there's going to be chipped badges, kind of like somewhat, I would guess, how 23 was done, but I think it's going to be a lot better than that. We're talking about Hitchcock Greatest Hits House, which I brought up a little bit ago. Comcast is about synergy, so there's going to be a lot of sharing of houses on both coasts, apparently, for years to come. Apparently, whether it's an IP or an original is a compromise, but marketing has more authority. That's kind of worrisome. Which means we can get a really awesome original, but if an IP decides, hey, we want to be at Halloween Horror Nights, we're like, hey, we'll jump on this, so bring the general public in, so who knows. Alright, well, let's talk about surveys, shall we? Now, there are a couple surveys that have come out, and confidentiality is kind of thrown out the door, kind of like kayfabe in the wrestling business. I will state that I'm not going to talk about anything I did personally or anything I saw personally. I'm going to go with what I'm seeing. And when I see someone post their entire survey, like verbatim on a web page, I think it's fair game to talk about some of this stuff. Let's talk about the November survey. These are some things that they were asking, do you want these to come to the event? Alright. The Universal Classic Monsters, but it only mentions Dracula the Wolfman and Frankenstein. No mummy. Interesting. A nighttime horror parade, which I believe would be a logistics nightmare, even though I did talk about doing something like that down the line. But I don't know. I mean, like I said, with the daytime parade, with the Superstar Parade, I don't know if it's possible. Maybe. We'll see. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we've talked about this already. A horror-themed rock band, which of course, I'm guessing they're thinking Midnight Syndicate, which I know did a great set at Cedar Point's Halloween Weekends last year. I don't know if they would come to the event. Obviously, when I think horror-themed rock band, I'm thinking the Insane Clown Posse, but obviously that may ruffle a few feathers to bring the Juggalos to Halloween Horror Nights. Even though I know it would bring in a lot of money, I don't know if necessarily they want to take that kind of risk. Not all Juggalos, but some Juggalos can be a little bit extreme, we'll put it that way. The Strain. Here's where we get some interesting times. Now, The Strain is a television series also on the FX network, and executive produced by Guillermo del Toro, which also has a film coming out this year called Crimson Peak, which I think is going to end up coming to the event. I think it's going to be our Dracula Untold this year. Is there a possibility we get them as a package deal? Or, as my friend Zombie CT basically said, when it comes down to it, is this basically like the olive branch to bring the Strain to the event later on in the years? It's anyone's guess at this point. The Walking Dead, which I'm sure everybody that took that survey is like, no, 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 no. I can't say no enough. The director coming back. I have a friend who really likes the director, and I really think that he would totally appreciate coming to the event. I know he would like to play the director, and he would be a very awesome director because he already does it oh so well. Shout out right there. Bill and Ted, will it come back? God, yes. Awesome. Thank God we don't have the situation that unfortunately Hollywood has, which Bill and Ted got canceled because people don't understand how to take a joke. When it comes down to it, we have Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted is super popular. Bill and Ted has hashtag the other one. And everything is great and grand and wonderful with Bill and Ted. Now the question is, a lot of rumors are stating that the original Bill and Ted from the past several years may not return to the event this year. I know for a fact that Bill most likely will not return to the event this year. I don't know anything about Ted or about the laundry list of supporting players of the cast as well. If I find out anything, I'll say something to you guys. Nightmare on Elm Street, we already brought that up. Alfred Hitchcock already brought that up. Is Rocky Horror coming back? I know a lot of people, and I was in that crowd. This was mentioned on Orlando United or Parkscope, one of the two podcasts I listened to. I don't remember which one it was, because sometimes I kind of like listen to them like back to back, and they kind of like mesh together. So when it comes down to it, I don't remember who said this, but I do remember that something was mentioned that Rocky Horror, the first 10 rows, that's being generous. Okay, let's say the first 5 to 7 rows. Totally into it, 100%, shout backs everything, dancing, doing the time warp, rocking it out, everything is great, grand, wonderful. Everyone else, what's going on? Oh my god, what is that man wearing? Let's get out of here. Shield your eyes, Johnny. So, no. I really hope Rocky Horror does come back, but I'm not sure if it will at this point. And if that doesn't happen, if Rocky Horror does not return, I do think that we get a show in Beetlejuice this year that takes up for it. I think there's a good possibility we could get technically maybe 4 shows this year, but we'll talk about that as we progress. The Caretaker coming back. Awesome, totally down with that. I have no issues with that. I called a Caretaker vinyl last year. Didn't happen. We got Chucky instead. Maybe we'll get that this year. It's possible. Will we get a Scream house revisited when we have Scream as a house? I think it'd be awesome, but who knows at this point. American Horror Story, we talked about it ad nauseum. Hannibal, yeah, Silence of the Lambs coming to the event. Again, we've seen Hannibal Lecter in a house before, so will we see an actual house? Given the fact the NBC contract with Hannibal, are we going to see Hannibal Lecter brought to the event? I think it would be a cool maze. I think it would be something that would be really fun, but I don't know if it would come to the event or not. It says, and I quote, a Penn and Teller style magician. So the only thing that jumps to mind on that is somebody like The Amazing Jonathan, which I brought up before. A kind of like really off-the-wall, out-there comedy magic act is basically what they're looking at. And if that happens, I say that probably takes Beetlejuice over. Unless they want to go into Terminator, because I think Jack's going to go in Animal Actors this year. I think that it's a really good possibility that we have at least 4 shows. It just depends on the situation. I think I've pretty much decided the point that we're not getting 2 parks this year, unless we have some sort of houses on, officially on Iowa property, given the spacing, but it's anyone's guess, depending on how many houses we get this year. Jack the Clown, everyone knows Jack's coming back. Carnival-style freak show, I think it's a possibility. Definitely getting a freak show, I think that could definitely happen. I think it would be a good fit. I think it would work really well. Don't know exactly where you would put it at this point, but it's anyone's guess if it's actually coming or not. Freak show could actually be, in all essence, it could be where Herschel's Barn was in 2013, or it could be where the Voodoo Shack was last year. Yeah, you could definitely do some sort of a stage show there. But again, the logistics of the event and all that traffic walking back and forth, yeah, I don't know if it would work or not. But it'd be interesting to see if they would at least try. Ghostbusters. Oh, God, yes. It's possible. It really is. But a lot of people are saying, and I believe my friend Charles Bremer is part of them as well, when it comes down to it, Ghostbusters may be just another way to say Legendary Truth, which is a good possibility. I can see that happening either way. I think Ghostbusters could come to the event. I think that Legendary Truth could be the secret for calling Ghostbusters. Like, Ghostbusters could be Legendary Truth. I mean, it's a good possibility. Legendary Truth, by and large, I guess you could say they are Ghostbusters, so they just don't have, like, the proton packs and everything. So, it'd be cool to see one of those, see a Legendary Truth guy just put proton pack, but who knows. Storyteller coming back. Yeah, Scary Tales 4 is something I'm hearing a lot about. Obviously, it's a great way to skewer Frozen. It'd be fun. The Babadook coming in. Maybe that could be a possibility. Granted, I know a lot of people would want to see the Babadook as an actual house, but yeah, I don't know if they would go that road or not. I mean, there's a lot of material to do one, but maybe a high spot in, like, a couple rooms in a Scary Tales 4 house, which is a possibility. So, I'm going to talk about a couple other things as well, real quick, before we wrap up here for the night. I mentioned some rumors that we're talking about, some other ideas. Talk about Child's Play, we already mentioned that. A return to video games. I know a lot of people want, like, Last of Us. I know a lot of people are talking about, like, the Alien Isolation game, which is a good tie-in there. And I know that a lot of people want to return to the Urban Legends brand. I've been talking about that for quite a while. There's a lot of things that we could see from the Urban Legends brand. Maybe the Boogeyman, like a retread of the house in Hollywood. Or maybe like our own version of the Boogeyman. Maybe that could be where the Dark Christmas, the Krampus comes in. Maybe, like my friend Drew would say from Orlando United, the Jersey Devil possibility. There's a lot of different urban legends they could totally go into. And no, I'm not talking about Slender Man or anything like that. No, I'm talking about real urban legends that you really could make totally freaky. Like maybe the Yeti. That'd be totally awesome. I totally would love that. Super cold would be super awesome. Do that in a nice little, do that in a soundstage. Be totally cool. Kind of like Cold Blind Terror, but awesome. Cold Blind Terror meets The Thing, but like extremely awesome. Like more awesome like The Thing and less like Cold Blind Terror. Just be like super cold and like the Yeti comes out and just scares you. It's not Disco Yeti like at Animal Kingdom. But the thing is, I think those are possibilities. So yeah, a lot of people are talking about different houses of the past getting different like sequels or maybe even prequels, depending on how you're looking at it. Catacombs is something I'm hearing a lot about it too. And the big one is Nightingales, the Return of Nightingales. We called it last year. It seemed like it fell through last year, but I would think that it may come this year. I think that we're going to get a Nightingale sequel house that may possibly be themed towards, I don't know, maybe World War II, since World War I was the last one. Could go in the Civil War. It could be anything, really, because obviously the Nightingales are time travelers, so we can go into that. Get the Body Collectors, something I really would like to see. I totally would dig seeing the Body Collectors. And there's a lot of different characters that are past Halloween Horror Nights creations that I would love to personally see at the event this year. Now, here's where we get some fun. Now, there's another survey that just came out. And I can say honestly, I took this survey, but I'm not going to talk about anything more from it. There's a couple of things that are kind of questioning, things I may or may not talk about in the near future, but I'm going to mention that they only talk about 4 IPs at once, and it was a mix of 7 different properties, which makes me think that some of these could possibly be coming to the event, and they're all things that we've mentioned, all things I've already mentioned in this video. Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The New Line 3, obviously, Insidious, Scream, The Walking Dead, and American Horror Story. So, who knows? Is there any truth to these rumors? You never know. Possibly. It could be. It's anyone's guess what's going to happen with this, and I guess we won't know until things happen. So, it's interesting, and I'm finding this really strange. I talked about several things I wanted to see in November. It's February. It's almost, not to the day, but it's like 2 days from being 2 months to the day I did this last video. Talked about Nightingales returning, Bio of Blood. I said there'd be 25 nights of the event. I think it's going to be a lot more than that. I think there's probably a lot more than we've seen in a long time. It's going to start later, but I think it's going to go longer. I think there'll be more actual days of the event, which is going to make me very, very happy. Here's something I'd like to see at the event. We're talking about the verses, and with what happened, unfortunately what happened with Eddie's character for his year, he was supposed to be the icon when Jack ended up taking over for him because of the unfortunate events in the world at the time. Eddie really didn't get a chance to shine. He's in a scare zone, he's been a part of a house. I mean, he didn't really get a chance to shine. Why don't we do a Jack versus Eddie house? Like, make it dual run, or you can literally just have them battle in the house and then go after you. I think that would be totally awesome. Maybe do run as a scare zone, potentially. Or have Eddie lead a clown saw drill team, which I know my friend Heather would totally love. Basically have a scare zone where you are being chased by the chainsaw drill team, but they're all dressed like clowns, and they're led by Eddie. I think that'd be totally awesome. And if we go the Jack versus Eddie route, obviously we bring Jill back, and Jill can go with Eddie, and then Jill can fight with Chance. I think that would be totally awesome as well. Give it a chance to flesh out another character that really didn't get a chance, pun not intended, in Halloween Horror Nights lore, given the fact that it just didn't work out. So I talked about different things like 2-park event, which I don't think is going to happen now. I do think that they actually could do a house for Giggles and Gore, like a sequel house, or they could do a scare zone for Giggles and Gore, but I think if they're going to do clowns, I think they do the Clown Saw Drill Team. I think that's probably a good bet, and I think they're waiting for you outside wherever Jack's house is, regardless if it's a 3D house, if it's... I'm sure it's going to be a soundstage house, if I had to guess. I don't think they put Jack in Disaster. I don't think they put Jack in a Sprung. Will they use both Sprungs this year? I know there's a lot of rumors about Kids Zone going bye-bye, so if that's the case, maybe there's another route to be able to get to these houses, or we use both Sprungs this year in the parade building. Are we going to use the Men in Black overflow queue? I think that's a possibility this year. I think we're looking at 9 houses for sure, if not 10. I don't think that we go more than 10. I don't think there's a possible... I know there's a possible way to do it, but the logistics would be a nightmare, to say the least. There'd be a lot of dead zones. The Carnage Warehouse, I do think, ends up getting used, whether it's not this year. I do think it happens in the next 5 years. Maybe Jurassic Park Discovery Center. There's a lot of stuff going around there, so who knows what's going to happen around Iowa Way. So, Disaster and Twister, here they're up on the chopping block at this point. Like, it's anyone's guess what's going to happen with those. Like, Jimmy Fallon, Soarin', is that going to happen? Are we going to get Fast and the Furious, or a version of it, not necessarily supercharged, because that's part of the tram tour in Hollywood, a Fast and the Furious attraction, which I do think that does happen. Like, what's that going to do to the house lineup, or are we going to get more sound stages? TNA is actually back, and they're taking 20 this year, so that's curious that TNA is back in a soundstage at Universal, at least for the foreseeable future. Will we see the Scrapped House that was last year, the Ritual codename, the one that was presumably the Boogeyman? Is that going to happen? Will we get sequels to stuff like Dungeon of Terror? I know we've done it before. Scream House, we've already done that before. But, like, Dead Exposure, I mean, granted, I don't think we'll see Dead Exposure most likely ever at the event, because we're never going to get away from zombies at this point. So, like, there's a lot of things we've got. Stephen King, it would be awesome, but I don't think it's going to happen. I do think that if we get certain things, like, there are 2 properties right now that I know John Murdy in Hollywood really wants, and I think when he decides it's his last year, he's going to fight like mad to get them, and that's The Exorcist and Trick or Treat. Trick or Treat got pushed to next year, so I think that's a possibility for next year. The Exorcist is always something that looms over our heads, whether it's a full house or it's a part of an all-night die-in paranormal house. I think that's a good way to do it without having to do a full house if they don't want to commit to a full Exorcist house. So, I don't think music's ever going to return to the event. I mean, I can be proven wrong. There's a reason to do it, but music houses don't really translate very well. At least they did. The Alice Cooper house didn't translate very well, and that's the reason why he didn't return. I think Aliens does come to the event eventually. I do think there is going to be a flat-out, full-on Aliens house, not versus anything, just Aliens. I think it'd be totally awesome. Utilize the puppets and, like, make them work, because puppets are the real right now, and they're something that everybody wants. I talked about the laser tag with The Walking Dead, which kills literally 2 birds with 1 stone. Zombieland would be a great idea to do for a laser tag game. I really want Shaun of the Dead to be the laser tag game. I think that would be totally awesome. So, you know, it's weird because I say all these things, and I don't know if I'm right, I don't know if I'm wrong, and I don't know exactly what's true and what's not. But you know what? That's the beauty part. I don't have to know what's going on to guesstimate, and I don't have to know what's going on to speculate, and I don't know what's going on to bring these videos to you guys. I'm just here to entertain and inform, and once I get some concrete information, I'll inform. But right now, I'm here to entertain and speculate, just like all of you out there do. And that's going to be the end of the video. I will be joining the Horror Nights Updaters, at least a abbreviated version of them. My friend Psycho Massacre Films and HHN Trogdor, John and Matt, they're going to be joining me for... I'm going to be joining them, actually. They're not joining me because obviously I'm not setting it up, but they're setting up a video we're going to be doing in the near future that we're going to be talking about Orlando's event. We're going to talk about that, so look forward to that, and when I get any information, I'll pass along to you guys on my Twitter, which you can follow me at @SoroandDisney. If you'd like to follow along with the official Halloween Horror Nights Twitter, which basically goes right from the mouth of the man himself, Mike Aiello, you can check it out at @HorrorNightsORL. And if you'd like to go ahead and like the fan page of my channel, Pop, you're more than welcome to it. Suro and Disney Pop on Facebook, or you can friend request me via Facebook. If you want to check out some really awesome forums about Halloween Horror Nights, you can check out the Horror Night Nightmares forums and my friends at Orlando United, their forums. There's some really great Halloween Horror Nights sites you can check out on the internet, like HHNCrypt.com, HHNRumors.com, Parkscope.blogspot.com, and my friend Charles Bremer's site, Designing the Fear, is designingfear.com. If you'd like to follow along with the other Halloween Horror Nights Updaters, and we have a lot of them out there, you can check out different sites on YouTube. The incomparable Dr. Jimmy, his April Fool's Day video should be coming out in the next couple of months, obviously, because it's February. We got 2 more months Until that happens, looking forward to that. You can check him out at Dockimo, Dockimo. You can check out my friend Tristan, HHN Fan 16, the aforementioned HHN Trogdor, my friend Matt, and the Horror Nights Updaters as a collaborative, as Horror Nights Updaters, or their singular channels. My friend Vic, Dr. Emmett Brown 1, my friend John, Psycho Massacre Films, my friend Neil, UKHHN, the Red Steel TV, Deadly Fear 1283, Mr. Horror Nights, and the newest member of the Horror Nights Updaters. Congratulations to Crazy Englishman. You can check him out at Crazy Englishman. Also, Admiral HHN, Thrill Seeker Network, First Class Horror, and Horror Squad TV. Check all of those channels out, and tell them Owen sent you, so... If you have any ideas that you would like to see at Halloween Horror Nights, or you'd like me to talk about on this channel, go ahead and shoot me an email, siroandisney@gmail.com. But in the meantime, thank you guys and girls out there for watching, and until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all I gotta say about that.